Alright, so let's take a look at a brief history of the cloud. We'll go through the main events that brought us here today. It all started in the 90s, 1999 to be more precise, when Salesforce, the SaaS B2B giant, was born. They are still in business today, thriving more than ever. In fact, they just acquired Slack to be in a better shape to compete with Microsoft, who has Teams as a collaboration platform. Over the years, they contributed quite significantly to the open source world with projects such as Apache Phoenix, used for writing SQL queries for the Hadoop ecosystem, and Raml, a language for modeling APIs. They also have quite a few videos on their YouTube channel describing how Salesforce works and how they handle multi-tenancy and deployment. In the same year, Loudcloud was born, which later became Opsware. They were offering software for provisioning and maintaining servers for enterprise customers, and they are one of the pioneers of both the cloud and the SaaS, software as a service, terms. One of the founders, Ben Horrowitz, even wrote a book telling the story of the company up to the point when it was sold for $1.65 billion to HP in 2007. Moreover, he provides a ton of advice on how to run a company, how to handle products, teams, hiring, firing, promotions, titles, and so on. The book is called The Hard Thing About Hard Things. I totally recommend it to any leader, manager, and of course, founder. Then, moving on to 2003, this is when Linode was founded. Back then, Linode wasn't exactly the cloud provider that we know and love today. Not that it was bad, but they were just offering a different service. They were offering more traditional VPS services. However, their web interface for managing servers, the Linode Manager, was a massive step in the right direction and was outstanding for 2003. It enabled us to perform operations such as creating servers, restarting them, and reloading the operating system. Then, 2006, a paramount year for the cloud industry. This is when AWS was launched. Now, the truth is that AWS first appeared on the market in 2004 only with SQS. They decided to relaunch it in 2006 with EC2, a service for spinning up virtual machines, something they got pretty good at while running their main business, the Amazon website. S3, a service for object storage, meaning images, videos, documents, and so on, something that they needed anyway for their e-commerce business, since every product has images and for every purchase an invoice is created, and I'm sure you can think of many other use cases. And of course, SQS, a service for creating queues. And well, nothing fits better for an order processing system, which any e-commerce website will have, than a queue. You order your product, a message is pushed on the queue, a server processes it at some point in time, and you receive your confirmation via email. The funny thing about how AWS was born is that most people assume that it started as a result of Amazon having a lot of spare capacity after having to over-provision for holiday sales. Of course, there is a seed of truth in that, but the fact is that AWS was planned a few years before it, with a clear goal in mind of becoming the operating system of the internet, or at least that's how the executives envisioned it. One of the founders of the EC2 service even wrote a blog post about how he presented the idea to Jeff Bezos and how they got started, which I'll link in the attachments. It's a short article and I totally recommend it. Also, in the same year, G Suite, the Workspace SaaS product that we all know today, which not long ago has been renamed to Google Workspaces, was launched. And finally, another important milestone for 2006 is Slicehost. Very similarly to Linode, they were offering VPS services and they had an amazing web interface for that time, even compared to EC2, which required some serious technical skills. By contrast with Slicehost, you just had to press create server and a few minutes later you received your SSH credentials via email. In fact, it was so good that Patrick Collison, one of the founders of Stripe, the de facto payment gateway nowadays, took inspiration from it. He envisioned Stripe as the Slicehost of online payments, meaning that with a few clicks you had your payments set up. Then, moving on to 2007, this is when Netflix branched into the streaming business. Until then, they were only doing physical renting of movies. The main reason for mentioning Netflix here is the endless contribution they provide to the community with open source tools such as Spinnaker for continuous deployments, Zool for building application gateways, and of course Chaos Monkey for ensuring that we build resilient products, because basically what it does is that it randomly shuts down servers. They also share a lot of their knowledge and experience on working with microservices, especially on AWS, since Netflix is one of their largest customers. Then, 1 year later, Google App Engine was launched. So far we have seen mostly SaaS products with Salesforce and G Suite, and products for provisioning the infrastructure with Linode and AWS. Google App Engine was different. It was, and still is, a platform as a service, PaaS. This means that it creates and provides an entire ecosystem for building applications on the cloud with features such as auto-scaling, traffic shifting, allowing us to incrementally deploy new versions to our users, and a lot more. The truth is that there was another PaaS service 2 years before App Engine called Zimki, but it only lasted for a few months, so for all intents and purposes, Google App Engine was the first true PaaS offering. And finally, in 2010, we of course have Azure. Similar to Amazon, Microsoft has been planning and working on Azure for quite a few years, dating back to 2005. Initially, it was dubbed Project Red Dog, at least this was their internal name, and at launch they named it Windows Azure, which later became Microsoft Azure or simply Azure. And well, the rest is history. Thank you for watching, I hope you found it interesting, and I'll see you in the next lecture. Bye!